Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is January 3rd in the year 2025. Corbin Burnes signs with the D-Backs. Teos back with Dodgers. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? It is, as mentioned, January 3rd in the year 2025. Happy New Year's, everybody. Hope you guys had a wonderful holiday break here. I have not seen you guys for a while, it seems like. Probably the longest in between episodes I've ever done in the almost now 2 complete years of working on the podcast. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me here on this Friday day for you guys, hopefully, or maybe whenever you're listening to this. Of course, it is the off season still. Could be out of sync a little bit. I haven't done a recording in, as mentioned, quite a while. We're going to dive on in here. We got a couple big pieces of news to go over, as well as some smaller details. So with that being said, let's just jump right on in and talk about the main part of this free agency market that happened in the past couple of weeks here. And that was Corbin Burnes signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks on a hefty 6-year deal, $210 million deal. Now, let's start by talking about Corbin Burnes, because who is he? He is a former Cy Young winner, a 4-time All-Star. He also has an ERA title under his belt. Of course, his best seasons came in the early part of the 2010s with the Brewers. His first All-Star appearance was in that 2021 season. That was the season that started 4 straight All-Star appearances, 4 straight top 10 Cy Young votings, as well as he was the Cy Young winner in 2021. He finished top 10 as well in 2020. Debuted in 2018 out of the pen. He was a reliever up until the midway of 2020, and then was a full-blown starter in 2021. That was his best year. His ERA title was in that year. Led the league with 2.43 ERA. Last year was his first year away from Milwaukee. They traded him to Baltimore, and he was very good for the O's. A 15-9 record. A 2.92 ERA, made all 32 starts. That's where Corbin Burnes gets it. He has not been hurt for a long time. He pitched 32 starts last year, 32 starts the year before, 33 starts in 2022. So he's been a workhorse really from 2021 and on. 194 innings worked this year, struck out 181 batters, only gave up 22 home runs, 63 earned runs as a whole. He's a great starter. He's a great one guy. He probably is going to be the one guy for Arizona. They have a great rotation, headline now with Corbin Burnes and Zach Gallen as a top 1-2. And then Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, Jordan Montgomery. What do you have out of him? There's some other guys. But the Diamondbacks rotation is very nice right now. And, as mentioned, there's a lot to be excited about with this Arizona team. Of course, last year, they fell short by a game. Of course, they needed one of the Mets or the Braves to sweep on the game 163, essentially. That doubleheader rain delay. But they ended up splitting that series, which left Arizona out in the cold. But they're going to be a competitive team still for the year 2025. They have a great lineup, and they're continuing to add. Of course, they did trade for Josh Naylor from the Guardians. They've signed on Corbin Burnes, so now, Eduardo Rodriguez is still there as well. Brandon Pfaadt, as mentioned. The bullpen could still use a couple of additions here, but as a whole, the Arizona team is still great. The problem, of course, is the division they're in. The NL West is a highly competitive division. And, with the Dodgers being the Dodgers, the Padres, what kind of season are they going to be having in 2025? And, of course, the Giants and even the Rockies a little bit can sneak up on you. Of course, they're still ways away compared to the other teams. But the Giants have made some interesting moves already. They signed Willy Adames. They're going to have Jung-Ho Lee healthy, and that's going to be an addition that they didn't really have last year. So, it will be an interesting race for the division and even those wild card seeds, because, of course, we know what the other divisions could be packing. So I think Arizona still needs to do a little bit more here to add on to become kind of like a confident postseason team. They're one of those teams that will either sneak in or, will struggle to find their ways, and it depends on how they have their early start in April and May here. More into the Corbin Burnes deal itself here, there's a lot of contract notes to be spoken about. Of the 210, 64 million is being deferred. He's going to get 10 million from 2025 and 2026, and then 11 million from 2027 to 2030. So take away that kind of much on the current AAV breakdown of his year contract. He is allowed a player opt-out after the 2026 season, so at least 2 years with the Diamondbacks before he opts out. Of course, by opting out, he opts out of all the rest of the money he will earn, including the deferrals from 2027 to 2030. That's why it's an extra $1 million more in those years. He has a full no-trade clause in the first 2 years of his contract, and then after the player option, if he decides to stay with Diamondbacks, there's a 14-team no-trade list. He has bonuses for finishing top 5 in Cy Young, bonuses for any awards that he gets, including All-Star, All-MLB first or second team, a World Series or League Series MVP, as well as a Gold Glove. And it is the largest contract at signing in Arizona Diamondbacks history. So a lot of stuff there for Corbin Burnes to be excited about. There was reports that the Blue Jays and the San Francisco Giants offered him more money, but ended up signing with the Diamondbacks for their lower taxes, I believe, were the reasons there when it came to the actual money as amount of signing with the team here. So tough there for the Giants and the Blue Jays. We can't change the law, but for Blue Jays, it's been really unfortunate. They seem like they've been in on a lot of top free agents and have come up short on everybody. Going back to last year, even with Ohtani, this year with Soto and Snell, a little bit of conversations, and now Corbin Burnes, and they were in on Gleyber Torres, who we'll be talking about. Like, the Blue Jays keep missing out. Giants, they keep trying to add and add and add. They got Willie Adom is great, but they need more. But yeah, as a whole, Arizona's team will definitely be very nice with Corbin Burnes' addition. He will be the ace of that staff here. He's only, 30. He's going to be entering his age 30 season here. So, the 6 years here will put him at 36. He's still young. He's still got a lot of stuff. We saw it with Baltimore. He was a huge, bright spot in that O's pitching staff. And the Baltimore, pitching was really well for the year 2024 here, but losing Corbin Burnes is going to affect them. Baltimore is a team who, in this free agency, we have seen them take further steps back and back and back, losing out on players. They have now lost Corbin Burnes. Anthony Santander is still a free agent. How is he going to re-sign back? Like, that's something that we definitely have to take a look at when we get into Baltimore, start talking about them, because there are a lot of players who, have left Baltimore, and they still have a lot of young talent, but they need to start supplementing those guys with those big-time leading veterans. And I'm not sure who it's going to be, but they need to make a move sooner than later. But overall, Corbin Burnes to the Diamondbacks. Love it for Arizona. Good to keep making moves here. Work on that offense a little bit. Help the bullpen out. And they should be in good contention for that NL West. Speaking of that NL West, Teoscar Hernandez is signing the Los Angeles Dodgers. This was one of those things we saw kind of coming. He mentioned after, in the World Series parade that the Dodgers held, that he would love to be back with the Dodgers. He was very vocal about that from the get-go. And sure enough, he is heading back to the Dodgers. It's a 3-year deal with the Dodgers for $66 million. And it wouldn't be the Dodgers unless a big contract like this had some deferrals, over $23 million worth of deferrals to be exact. The Dodgers also have a club option for the year 2028. So 3 guaranteed years with the Dodgers, and then that club option in 2028, $23 million of deferrals. That's what the Teoscar deal looks like. And of course, the Dodgers team looks even better bringing in Teoscar back. He was a huge part in that lineup for the Dodgers. Won a Silver Slugger. He was an all-star and finished top 20 in MVP voting. Clobbered 33 home runs, the most he has ever had in his career high there. 99 RBIs, had a 272 batting average, and 840 OPS. Seattle moved on for him because of those strikeout numbers, and sure enough, still relatively high. Did lower it a bit from 211 with Seattle in 2023 to about 188, 190-ish in 2024. So he's still going to strike out a bunch, but his average was a lot better. His OPS through the roof. He had a couple more home runs. He's a home run hitter. He's a masher. Strong guy. Dodgers are lucky to have him back, of course. This was another player that the Jays were apparently in on and then missed out on. When it came to the Dodgers in the free agency here, we talked about, Teoscar and Jack Flaherty and Kershaw and Buehler, and what can this Dodgers team look like? While they've let Walker Buehler go to Boston, they have re-signed Blake Treinen. They have re-signed Teoscar. A guy like Clayton Kershaw, a guy like Kike Hernandez, it's hard to see them anywhere else. They could possibly re-sign as well, which kind of leaves Jack Flaherty. And the Dodgers don't need to bring back Jack Flaherty because they had Blake Snell sign with them, and they'll have Shohei Ohtani most likely healthy at some point next season pitching. So, you look at that rotation: Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Gonsolin, May, Ohtani. How about, the guys that have been hurt: Emmett Sheehan, River Ryan, Gavin Stone. And if you bring in Kershaw back, you don't really need Jack Flaherty. The rotation could be massive. Huge depth everywhere. And we look at that lineup: Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar, Muncy, Will Smith. They signed Michael Conforto, Tommy Edman, they held in a healthy extension to, Gavin Lux. This Dodgers team is going to be built different next year for sure. They're going to go on a crazy run, and, the Dodgers basically are going to be World Series or bust every single year. They have a very strong case to go back-to-back World Series winners. And the real question is, will any team be able to get them off their stride here? Or will it be a very Dodger 2020s here? Because they are looking very strong for 2025. Will most likely win over 100 games. Will most likely make the postseason. Let's just say a lot would need to go wrong for the Dodgers. They're going to keep signing players. They're going to keep offering deferrals. They're going to keep getting these players. And they're going to be paying people out for a long, long time. But they have a long, long window here of contention and quality wins here for a lot of these players. So we'll have to see exactly what Dodgers continue to do in this offseason. I do not think they're done with Teoscar. They will find other ways to improve their team and to bring in more depth. When one guy goes down, there's three capable guys right behind to take their spot, whether it be from their farm system or just be from the depth that they have. Dodgers are built different. They have the best players in baseball, and bringing back Teoscar is going to help them out as well. So the Dodgers keep rolling, keep adding, and are looking to be, once again, scary for the 2025 season. NL West Division, man, let me tell you, it's going to be built different. Let's move on now to the AL a little bit, talking about Gleyber Torres as he is joining the Detroit Tigers on a 1-year deal with $15 million. This is an interesting deal to say the least here, of course. Gleyber Torres, once upon a time, finished top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. He was a big part of the New York Yankees for his 20s. He debuted in 2018 at the age of 21, spent 7 years with them all the way up to 2024, and now it's going to be the first year from a different team, of course. The Yankees he wasn't always a New York Yankee. If you remember, long time ago, he was signed by the Cubs as an amateur free agent all the way back in 2013 and was traded to the Yankees in the big deal that sent Chapman to the Cubs. This was the year that the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. And in this deal, you look at the guys, Billy McKinney, Adam Warren, Rashad Crawford. Gleyber Torres has definitely been the big key piece of this deal that, helped the Yankees in the late 2010s and early 2020s here. Last year had a nice season with the Yankees. Nothing crazy, a 257 batting average, a 709 OPS. Only hit 15 home runs, kind of low compared to his previous 2 seasons where he was hitting 24, 25 home runs. Last year, specifically in 2023, he had an 800 OPS, so that's nearly down 100 from 2 years ago to this year. And, he's going to be a pure hitter. He's going to be playing, a decent glove out there in second base, I believe, is where Detroit plans to use him. Could play him at third if they really wanted to, maybe. I don't know about short. It would make the most sense to put him at second, but then, Colt Keith was playing second for them last year. He had a nice rookie campaign. Where do you move him? The Tigers are a very interesting team for 2025. They had this crazy comeback into the postseason last year, and they beat the Houston Astros, something that the Yankees could never do. The Tigers, made their first postseason since 2014 and immediately took down the juggernaut that had reigned terror on the AL. For about 7 or 8 years there before losing out to the Guardians in the ALDS. They have a lot of young talent here. We've seen these guys before, and we're starting to learn their names a lot more. It's not just the Riley Green and the Kerry Carpenters of the world. It's the Parker Meadows, the Matt Vierling, the Colt Keith, the Jace Young, the Trey Sweeney who they've got in the deal, the Dylan Dingler who will be, the soon-to-be full-time catcher when they eventually move on from Jake Rogers. There's the Andy Ibanez, who had the clutch hit against the Astros there. And of course, there's the ultimate wild card, really, with Javier Baez. Will he ever revert back to his Cubs days? Or is he a thing of the past and it's just will never be the same player? Because that's going to hold the Tigers back a little bit. He's got a lot of money owed to him. And, I mean, you're kind of better off with Sweeney, but, what kind of work will he do in the offseason? How will he look entering 2025? Those are the questions that we'll have to be asking, kind of keeping an eye on. Until Javier Baez, because we saw what he could do with the Cubs, until he can kind of revert back to that, he will always be this guy of the biggest risk in baseball. Like what do you do with him? Because he can eat, he seems like the guy who would always have that talent and can always tap into it. He has just been unable to do that for a couple years now. So, what do you do here if you're Detroit? It's going to be tricky what they end up doing with Baez here, but they have this young talent, this young core that they're building around. Of course, the rotation looked phenomenal last year. Pitching was a huge part, the way A.J. Hinch used his starters and his bullpen guys. I mean, of course, they have the Cy Young winner, Tarek Skubal. Reese Olson kind of had a breakout year. Alex Cobb, they signed him for agency. He was looking great with the Guardians last year. Casey Mize, a former 1-1 in 2018. Is he going to be able to tap into, some of that success that he had in his, college days? Jackson Jobe, will he probably break with the team? And that bullpen, I mean, there are guys here that, you probably won't remember. Will Vest, Jason Foley, Tyler Holton, these guys were huge for them in 2024. How will they be in 2025? How will A.J. Hinch manage this team? If they can be anything like they were last year, of course, with these additions that they're bringing in, the Detroit Tigers could be looking at, an interesting year for them. They could even contend for the division if all things going according to plan here. We saw how that AL trash division in 2023 turned themselves around in 2024. The Guardians were competitive, the Tigers were great, the Royals were phenomenal, and the Twins were great until they fell off massively. So, outside of the White Sox, who 121 losses, but we won't talk about that, they have it's going to be a very contentious AL Central. Any one of those four teams can win the division. It's probably going to be the most competitive division in baseball once again because they're all so similar, taking steps forward and backwards at the same time. Of course, Tigers, that young talent will still come. Max Clark, when would he, where does he fall in 2025, or will he be, delayed even more? So a lot's at stake for the Tigers here. They can definitely make some more moves. Of course, right now, Alex Bregman, one of the key free agents still available, last mentioned to be in talks with both the Detroit Tigers and the Blue Jays. If you look at the Blue Jays' track record, it looks like the Tigers might be signing Alex Bregman. So right now, I think that's kind of where the last two teams were with Bregman. If any team wants to come in and try to snipe him, Seattle even. But we'll talk about other free agents as we go here. But Tigers making some nice moves here. They've got a lot more to do if they really want to stand out in that AL Central, but they can already be a formidable team in 2025 moving forward here. Speaking of moving forward, as we crack through this episode here and talking about now Josh Bell, who has re-signed with the Washington Nationals. I say re-signed. He was, of course, was not with them last year, but was with them a while back ago. In case you forgot, he originally signed with them in the first time he hit free agency. That was in the 2021 season. Had a nice season with them that year, and an even better one in 2022. Of course, that was the year where him as well as Juan Soto were shipped to the Padres mid-season. And Josh Bell, of course, did struggle a little bit with the Padres, but was very good with the Nationals that year. From there, he's been bouncing around. He's gone to the Guardians. He's gone to Miami. He ended up in Arizona last year. In total, last year, his time spent in Miami and Arizona, he was a nice at-bat, 250 average, a 725 OPS, 19 home runs. So his power, of course, still ranges. We remember the best year of Josh Bell, of course, 2019. He was an all-star, a 936 OPS with the Pirates, as he tries to tap into more of that. I like Josh Bell a lot. He's one of the, I would say, not my favorite players, but he's one of those marquee guys that you just kind of love, I love Josh Bell, switch hitter. He, plays first, does it, he's got a lot of power. When he swings and connects, it goes a long way. He doesn't always find the power hit. Sometimes he's able to hit for contact. He kind of is different a little bit when you think of like the Joey Gallos and the Giancarlo Stantons, the guys that are pure home run or strikeout. Josh Bell can kind of fall into that a little bit, but he's not really that pure home run or strikeout. 19 home runs is not pure home run hitter. He only had 120 strikeouts, which compared to other guys this year, that was very low. He walked 51 times. Like, his walk numbers are up there. He knows he's got a good eye at the plate. I think he's for the Nationals, you can't go wrong with this guy because, he's been around before. He kind of knows the culture a little bit. He's got a bunch of young guys like James Wood, Dylan Cruz, guys who, could use a little bit of hitting tutoring, I guess, from Josh Bell. If he is out playing everybody, what kind of season could the Nationals have? They got a lot of young talent and are kind of on the rise in that NL East. If everything clicks for them, they could potentially compete for a postseason spot. If things are going awry from the Nationals in terms of the other players they have, but Josh Bell has a great year, that's a trade deadline candidate that they can send somewhere and pick up a couple of prospects to help them out in the future here. So for the Nationals, I think this is a great move for them. I think whether they end up trading him at the deadline or whether he ends up staying with the team, there's no way that doesn't go wrong for the Nationals. They have a very interesting season coming up here. Kind of like the Tigers last season, if you think about it. They've got a lot of young talent, so if they play really well, who knows how far they can actually go. And if they, struggle, hey, at least they're getting their reps in. They've, of course, traded for Nathaniel Lau earlier this offseason. They've picked up Mike Soroka to help, whether it be from the rotation or the bullpen. And they lost Patrick Corbin in that crazy deal. Of course, he was always making those starts and, granted, getting a lot of losses. But the Nationals have some opportunities here to make some interesting moves, and kind of get more kind of guys like Bell on a one-year deal, veteran guys to help some of these young guys develop, while also being able to trade them if they overperform, initial projections. Josh Bell for $6 million is very manageable because he can put up great numbers. Of course, he can also struggle, so it'll be interesting to see what Josh Bell brings to the table in 2025 for the Nationals. But I love this move a lot. Good for Washington, and we'll see how it actually ends up working out for them. As we talk about Eloy Jimenez now, because he has signed a minor league deal with the Rays. This is a very interesting guy. Of course, Eloy is kind of one of those guys who, has a lot of power, is, capable of doing really well. The only problem is his ability to stay healthy has hindered him, and has hindered him in a big way. If you take a look at his debut season in 2019 with the White Sox, he was a key rookie. Had 31 home runs that year. The following year in 2020, of course, another strong year, had 14 home runs, of course, shortened season at an 891 OPS. He was a Silver Slugger, first 2 years of his career, looking promising. And then injuries start happening in 2021, only played 55 games where he hit 10 home runs. In 2022, he played 84 games, so he was still dealing with injuries, hit 16 home runs. In 2023, kind of the big telling year because he played 120 games, still wasn't fully healthy, but only hit 18 home runs as well. So the numbers weren't really checking out. The OPSs were kind of always flaking. Last year, a big step backwards. He played 98 games. I say only, but still 100 games is pretty on par for what he's been doing. He only hit 6 home runs. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. A 626 OPS on the year. Ended up getting traded to Baltimore, trying to help them, provide that power, and floundered. A 586 OPS, ended up in AAA. So once, potential White Sox top prospect has turned kind of bust. So he kind of with Tampa Bay, a minor league deal. Tampa Bay will, they have their devil powers that they'll be able to turn this guy back into something potentially. If you're the Rays, there is nothing to lose here by taking a chance on this guy. You see him in the minors, you help him work on his swing, get him some care that he needs. And he can easily come back healthy and strong and start raking, which, of course, is the ideal situation for Tampa here. They're one of those interesting teams for 2025. Will they be contending? Will they be bad? It's a real coin flip, especially in that AL East division. But a healthy Eloy and a proper Eloy who can, go out there and hit 30-plus home runs, if they can tap into anything like that, and this is a huge deal. Tampa Bay, that'll help them out, and potentially is a trade candidate as well if he is able to kind of figure out his swing and help him out and get back to his hitting ways. So for the Rays, you're not losing anything here. Like it for you, Eloy, this could be maybe your last chance to be a proper major leaguer, to have any sort of, success in the big leagues. The Rays are giving it to you, so take this chance and, work on it and figure things out. And hopefully you have a strong 2025 season. That would be ideal. Moving on here, kind of the last news, and signings of this little period here. Josh Rojas signed with the White Sox. Apparently, it's a one-year deal. The value is still TBA. The White Sox, they're making moves. They're doing things slowly but surely. So, Josh Rojas, he's a player that could probably help them not win 120 or help them not lose 120 games, next season. Debuted with Arizona. He spent 6 years in the big leagues. He's been with Seattle the last little bit. Got traded for them in 2023. And then 2024, a full year in Seattle, 142 games, hit 8 home runs, a 225 batting average, a 641 OPS. So not ideal numbers, but still better than some of the players the White Sox had last year. So improvements to be made. I'm assuming the value won't be anything higher than $3 million, $4 million maybe. So we'll update that, when that deal comes out. This was something that happened, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago. So one of the first moves of 2025 when you think about it that way. But kind of an underrated signing maybe for the White Sox. Maybe it'll help them out in a big way. He's got a nice glove out there as well. Probably be playing third base for the White Sox. Potentially in the outfield, maybe second even. He kind of jumps around, very versatile that way. So maybe, White Sox can trade him if he plays really well. So no upside there. Kind of the same thing with Bell and Eloy, as we've been talking about. A team that maybe isn't going to be competing. In this case, the White Sox definitely won't be competing. But, someone's going to have to get them runs. Someone's going to have to do some things for him. So a chance there for Josh Rojas to stand out and be a key contributor for the White Sox in 2025. And yeah, that kind of does it for all of the moves that have happened between our episodes here, between episode 187 and 188. Can you believe we're almost at episode 200 here? Before we wrap up, I want to talk about a couple of the key free agents still available. Because there is still a lot. We're talking about, it's January next month, mid-February, end of February. That's when spring training starts. So we've got less than 2 months before we'll have baseball back. And, there are still a handful of very talented and very, good ball players still available on the market here, as well as across the globe. We had a couple of KBO and MVP players get posted. Of course, the two most notable ones right now, Roki Sasaki, as well as Hai-Sung Kim. I believe it is Hai-Sung Kim. Hai-Sung Kim is the most interesting one right now because his deadline to be signed actually ends today. So I think it's about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 100, if I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. But at some point today, I believe his window closes. So, we're going to kind of be waiting for that to see if he ends up signing today. So he could be a potential player we talk about in a next episode, whether he gets signed or not. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, Roki Sasaki is still available, still, being talked around by other teams here. But it's not just those players as well. Jurickson Profar still available. Alex Bregman is available. Anthony Santander, Jack Flaherty, Ha-Sung Kim, Jose Iglesias, Andrew Heaney, Pete Alonso, Kirby Yates, Dave Robinson, some veteran relief pitchers still around. Paul DeYoung had a little bit of a nice season with the Royals there towards the end. Tanner Scott, got traded from the Marlins. The Padres helped him out in a big way. He's a huge piece still. Randall Grichuk, Kenley Jansen. What can you get out of Yasmani Grandal still? Jesse Winker was a big piece at times for the Mets there. Of course, you got some veteran guys, Charlie Morton, Justin Turner. What do they have still? Jose Quintana still available. Ramon Laureano. So there are plenty of talented players. Of course, Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer. All three of those guys are available. All three of them Cy Young winners, future Hall of Famers. Who knows what any of them could do. JD Martinez, Kevin Pillar, the list goes on and on. Of course, not all these guys will find homes. John Means, Adam Ottavino, Whit Merrifield. I'm just going through the list here. I'm seeing guys. Paul Sewald. What can you have? Yoan Moncada, Jorge Polanco, John Birdie, Austin Hayes, James McCann. The more I see it, Kevin Biggio. Plenty of players still available. A lot of moves and decisions need to be had by some of these teams here. But even that top list, as mentioned, Bregman, Alonso, Santander, Flaherty, Profar. Jack Flaherty kind of takes the cake right now as the best starter available. But when you look at offense, Santander's there. If you need some defense as well, Alex Bregman. You want pure power, you got Pete Alonso. So plenty of free agents still on the market here, and plenty of teams still need to do some adding. So the offseason, although it kind of seems like it is wrapping up, still has plenty to go here. But that is going to do it for our episode here today. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining me back here in 2025. This year is going to be an interesting year for me, so not sure about the podcast as a whole here, but we're going to keep it going for as long as possible. I've got some decisions to make coming up. But if you do like the podcast, if you're new here, this is your first episode you're listening to, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, whether you're listening to this on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music, or however you get your podcasts. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much, and I will see you next time.